folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents the Tales of the Trophies, the Big Ten's greatest rivalries. I'm Mike, with me is EJ, and welcome everyone to the podcast here.
Hello, welcome everyone. We're really excited for this.
Yes, very excited. Something we wanted to do for a while now. The whole premise, it's pretty simple. Just a couple guys drinking whiskey and telling the tales behind some of college football's greatest rivalries and the trophies behind them. And it's really pretty simple. We like sports. Sports are cool. College football is the coolest sport.
And it is on the horizon here. We're a mere 4 weeks away from these first couple kickoffs.
We're here. So we're knocking on the door, baby.
It is here. So obviously there is a lot of rivalries and, believe it or not, a lot of trophied games. So this season we're going to focus on the Big Ten and all of its in-conference trophied games, with a couple non-conference trophy games that include a Big Ten team. So just to give you guys an idea of kind of the setup and the structure we're going to have for all these episodes, each week we're going to give you a breakdown of the rivalry, the history of the trophy itself, any notable games throughout the rivalry. We're going to then rank our trophy in relation to each other and see which ones we think are better than others. And then
is that going to be purely like we haven't really thought about this that much, like talked about it, but like the rankings?
Yes.
Is it like, how cool is the trophy? Like in a vacuum, this object, how cool is it? But then also like with sports too, like, cause like some of the stuff is pretty neat and pretty interesting. Like but the types of trophies just vary. Like some of them are legit trophies and some of them are like a Little Brown Jug, for example.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we can kind of rank it with a couple of different ways. So one, having the looks, just overall looks, what it looks like. I think we should take into account the history of the trophy.
Sure.
Spoiler alert, some of these trophies have some really interesting history behind how they got started and why they got started, and some of them don't. Some of them are a little bit just a little bit more on the plain side. And then ultimately we can also take a look at the rivalry as a whole, like how important is it for those teams?
That's a big piece.
Is it something that is a one-sided rivalry, whatnot? Because I think there are some pretty cool trophies and histories behind the trophies that are buried and not as well known because the teams themselves haven't been very good, or it's been a lopsided rivalry. So,
and everything changes over the years. Like that's the cool thing about college football, is that, like, I mean, I guess you can say in the playoff era, the same teams have been there over and over again, but like really, I mean, anything can happen on any given Saturday, which is cool. And that's why it's a fun sport. And like waking up with some beer and some breakfast and Kirk Herbstreit and Lee Corso leading me into a nice Big Ten kickoff. And then I get the Pac-12 as a nice little lullaby. Nothing puts me to sleep like Cal and Washington State and like 11 o'clock on a Saturday. Like that's just perfect. Perfect for me. And a little bit about the format here. So EJ is very much you're a big research guy. I think that's very fair to say. You're always giving me good facts about stuff, and you're extremely intellectual. Research is also like your job. So like that kind of plays into it.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to give me these facts, like, and I'm just here. I'm just reacting to it, baby. I'm just drinking it all in here. So
yeah, you're my color commentator here, my Yinzer. So
I'll take that as a compliment. That's
and then also, as we get closer to the season, a couple of these first episodes are going to be released prior to the season starting because of the number of episodes we have total. But as we get into the season, these episodes, we're going to try and pick trophies that have a game that week. So if that's the case, we're going to give you a preview of the matchup that's coming up. And then the following week, we'll give you kind of a breakdown, a quick summary and breakdown of the game that we saw. If we got to see the trophy, if hopefully they will put it on TV, how cool it was. And honestly, if we got all of our facts right, and how great my research skills are when they, inevitably talk about some of these histories on the broadcast.
So for the love of God, the Big Ten needs to play some good football this year.
Yes. Yes. And if any of you guys are listening to outside of a Big Ten media market, I hope these games are on national TV so that you can catch some of these.
I mean, I'm an SEC guy, but I watch everything. Like I'll watch Richmond play like App State, like or whatever. Like I'm a big, get some action during the week. I'm good with whatever. And it, I think it does bear repeating as you drink here. Should let the folks know what we're drinking each week. Start off here with a tribute to my pops, to my old man, the Godfather. It's Pinch whiskey with Disaronno on the rocks. Delicious. My dad's favorite drink. Rest in peace, Pops. Rest in peace, Doc. Love you. Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
All right.
Well, let's dive right into this episode then. So today we are going to be talking about one of the most recognizable trophies, I think in all of college football, but definitely in the Big Ten, and that is the Little Brown Jug. And if you guys aren't aware, the winner of the game between the Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Michigan Wolverines.
Chubby's getting excited upstairs.
Yes.
Our listeners can hear EJ's dog, Chubby. You announced the Little Brown Jug, and he's like, "Oh man, yes! Yeah. What a way to start."
He is very excited for this podcast as well.
Fired up.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle in some facts here throughout the episode as it seems fit. So let me just start off right now with a little fun fact.
I love fun facts.
So this Little Brown Jug is the first and oldest trophy game in the Big Ten. And it is actually, there is some speculation and some argument on whether it's the oldest and the first trophy in all of college football. There is some competing thoughts here, but what do you think that other trophy is? Who do you think it is between?
Who's it between or what? God, wait. So there's another. So this is the oldest, but other people think that another one. So is there?
There's speculation. There's a lot of,
okay,
because this trophy is very, very old.
Do we know the exact date that it came to be?
We do. It came to be in 1903. Actually,
I was going to say, I was going to guess that, y'all. You should let me guess. All right. Well, I'm going to play the lottery tonight. That's fine. I get that.
1903. So there is allegedly a trophy that was, there is a trophy, but allegedly it was started in 1899.
Okay. Hold on. Let me think.
So between two teams, and I'll give you, because there's a lot of schools.
Hold on. Can I guess? Well, let's.
I was going to give you the conference. Okay.
Is it the Ivy League?
It is not.
Okay. Well, then I have no idea. Then give me the conference.
Yes, it is the Pac-12, which is going to.
No, I would have been East Coast the whole way. Did they even have schools in 1899?
Yes, apparently they had these two.
All right.
They are in-state rivals.
Okay, so it's got to be California. So Cal, I'm guessing, is the first one. And the second, you're stone facing me. I have no idea if that's right or not. So I'm going to say Cal and. I want to say USC. Yeah, Cal and USC.
That is incorrect. It is not from the state of California.
Oh,
I know. I know. This one surprised me too when I saw
Washington Wazoo.
It is not.
Gosh,
there's only two more states that you can guess.
So Arizona State.
Arizona
State. They had bros throwing frisbees on campus in their Crocs.
Yes.
Back in 1899.
They play for the Territorial Cup. And so that was created in 1899, and that's a story that we will get to in a future. I
should have figured you
season,
had a little,
but yes.
With your mom being out there for a while. I should have had the inside baseball now. I should have known.
It was very surprising for me too to think that too. West Coast.
Oh, wow, I cannot believe that. I really thought I was gonna guess Ivy League, like Penn and Princeton or something like that. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So the second fact I got for you here is this series has not been held on an annual basis because the teams themselves have typically been on opposite sides of the conference. So
are they still opposite? Michigan and Minnesota?
Yes. Okay. So they were, and this kind of leads, I'll just kind of plug the third fact here, is they are original members of the Big Ten. So they did, even from the get-go, they didn't play every year. It was pretty kind of random as far as sometimes they would play back-to-back. Sometimes there would be, 5-6 year gap. And then when the conferences had their realignment, their most recent one from the east to the west in 2014. They got split, Michigan being in the east of the conference and Minnesota being on the west. And there was actually only one rivalry that was that survived. That is an annual thing, even though they're on east and west. And we can get to that at a later, actually,
a little teaser,
a later episode. But this is unfortunately not one that got protected. So
I can see
they don't play very
why
often.
they started rivalry, because if you look at Michigan and Minnesota, we're the boat, Ski-U-Mah, go Gophers. Love PJ Fleck. Just an electric man, like what a ball of energy. I wish that there's like people that I think if like they woke me up in the morning, like I would feel so great to conquer the day. And it's like The Rock and PJ Fleck are definitely at the top of that list. Like PJ just has it going on, like great coach. But I can see why this rivalry started. They're both a big yellow M is like their main logo. Like I can see whoa. Like 1903, like, oh, buddy, like we got the yellow M. Like, no, we got the yellow M. Like I could see that type of conflict there. Or maybe they're just not very creative in the Midwest.
And it's just, when you think of Big Ten football, you think of Midwestern teams. And I know obviously since the conference has expanded to include, Penn State, Maryland and Rutgers and stuff. This
yes, the powerhouse
Minnesota, Michigan just kind of sounds like it just kind of sounds like a Midwestern matchup in it, and it was a pretty fiery one, at least at the get-go.
Well, even now, I mean, you can say what you want about Jim Harbaugh, can't win the big game, but like Michigan generally fields a decent team, and PJ Fleck, like I think they took a step back. I mean, last year was kind of weird, so I don't even know how much you can count last year, but like I feel like he has Minnesota heading in the right direction. Ski-U-Mah, row the boat, go Gophers.
Yep. No, definitely. I definitely agree. So why don't I get your first impressions on this trophy? So yeah. What's your first reaction here to how it looks?
So yeah, I mean, I'm right. Like the prominence. So it's the Little Brown Jug, and it is in fact a Little Brown Jug. Though it looks like the coloring on each side is like the Michigan side blue and the Minnesota side's like crimson or red or whatever they have. And then there is like just a legit like just big yellow M or a big gold M for Minnesota. I don't want to offend any Gophers out there and how your colors are pronounced. And I think the Minnesota, like that's what maize is their color.
That's Michigan, yes.
I would say Michigan.
Yeah. It's maize. It's maize.
Okay, yeah.
Let's not alienate, the Michigan listeners here.
Yeah, let's not. But that's like it's not brown, right? Like it's the Michigan blue on the one side, and then the Minnesota red on the other side, right?
Yes.
So was it just a Little Brown Jug and then they painted it this way? Like, has this always been what the trophies looked like with the big Michigan logo, the big Michigan M on one side in maize, and then the Minnesota golden M on the other side?
It has not been that way, and I promise you listeners, Mike is not just teeing up this next section, even though that question tees up.
I'm going into this section totally blind, just so everyone knows.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that we can kind of take a second here is while Mike knows what we're talking about each episode and roughly the content, as far as like the juicy details of the history, I am keeping that a secret from him, so you are going to be getting his honest reactions when he sees these things and hears a lot of these facts and history.
There's a good chance Tom Rinaldi told me about all these trophies at one point in time, but like
1000%.
From being like hung over on the couch, like that's not my best time to retain information. So no, I mean, it's like it is what it is. It's a Little Brown. I'm sorry, we're leading into something here. It's a Little Brown Jug though. Michigan on one side, and then little badges, I guess, for the victors. I would
scores.
Assume. Scores. Okay.
So it is those the writing on the sides are the scores each year.
Okay. And then I was leading into
what it originally looked like, because this is not what it originally looked like. So before we get into that, why don't I just give you a little bit of information about the history of the rivalry itself?
Lay it on me.
So the first meeting, even though the trophied meeting we'll say technically started in 1903. We'll get into that more in the future here, but the first meeting itself was in 1892 between the two teams, and that was won by Minnesota in Minnesota 14-6.
That's actually, I would think 8-9, that's pretty high scoring. 14-6. Like,
yeah, I don't know if the forward pass was a thing yet. That's a whole nother history of college football.
Well,
sorry for you history buffs here, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to guess that there probably wasn't too much shotgun or
not a lot of jet sweeps or anything like that.
No. So overall, this rivalry is might not be as familiar with some of you viewers because it has been pretty lopsided. And Michigan overall leads the series 76 wins to 25 losses and then 3 ties. So this has definitely been a one-sided event for these two.
Which makes sense, I guess, whenever you think about those programs and their dominance over the years. So I would probably have guessed around there.
Yes, and unfortunately, these two teams do not play each other this year. They played each other last year, and Michigan won that matchup in a pretty easy, heavy blowout, 49-24.
I don't even remember that game last year, but if you would have told me Michigan scored 49 points in any game last year, I would have been very surprised. And again, like I think of last year was weird, but like I remember like Minnesota, like the year before they looked pretty good and they had a good team. So I mean,
yeah, this was if I remember correctly, towards the beginning of the year, it might've been a night game with both teams being ranked.
Yeah.
And because of the success that Minnesota was coming off of, especially going to the Big Ten championship game.
Right.
I believe that was 2 years ago with Northwestern being last year.
Because they beat Wisconsin at home to go to that game, right? It was snowing, wasn't it?
I think so.
PJ Fleck and his little QZ.
So there was a lot of hype, but unfortunately for Minnesota, Michigan really took it to them. And then unfortunately for Michigan, the rest of the season didn't really pan out. But yeah, so these teams will not play each other this year. So unfortunately, you will not be able to see this trophy on TV, but you can go back to last year to watch the game if you'd like.
Could you imagine dropping the Little Brown Jug and just shattering it? Because it doesn't, like, it looks like, I guess it's just a ceramic jug. So like that thing, absolutely, like the fact it's intact it definitely has some nicks on it. Like looking at this trophy, it's definitely nicked up a little bit. I see there's a little carrying case, so it's probably pretty well protected, but whenever it's not being brought out onto the field. But could you imagine just a player just like hoisting it up and then just smash it on the field?
Yes. So something I can give you is the measurements for this jug. It is a 5-gallon jug, and it stands 16 inches tall with a 37-inch circumference. And it weighed around 20 pounds as well.
5 gallons. That reminds me of Die Hard with a Vengeance. You got the 5-gallon jug, the 3-gallon jug. You gotta get 4 gallons into one jug so the bomb doesn't blow up. Do you remember that? Remember that movie?
I do not.
It's a classic riddle.
It's
I can give spoilers on how to do that. You fill up the 5-gallon jug, pour it into the 3-gallon jug. Then you have 2 gallons in the 5-gallon jug. Empty out the 3-gallon jug. Put 2 gallons into the 3-gallon jug. So you have 1 gallon of space at the top of the 3-gallon jug. Then you fill the 5-gallon jug up the whole way. You pour it out and top off the 3-gallon jug, leaving you exactly 4 gallons in the 5-gallon jug. So if the Little Brown Jug was needed to defuse a bomb like it was in Die Hard with a Vengeance, great movie, Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, I forget the name of the bad guy, but oh gosh, what is his name? Good actor though. Good actor. It's weird. Jeremy Irons now plays Alfred in the DC, and that's talking movies. But okay,
so I'm gonna reel Mike back in here. But yeah, so in case you guys are ever in that predicament, now you know how to solve that.
You're welcome.
That issue.
You're welcome.
All right, so now let's get into the history of the actual trophy. So let me take you back in time to October 31st,
Halloween,
1903. So that is the first game that this jug makes an appearance, but it doesn't make an appearance quite like you think. But what do you think life was like back in 1903?
I mean, Gosh, I mean, I have an idea. I'm seeing this game being played like with corn in the background. Even though I guess where was this? Michigan or Minnesota?
This was in Minnesota.
So not a big corn state.
No.
Just probably freezing at that time because it's like Minnesota is like super hot for 3 months and then freezing the rest of the year. So I'm still picturing corn because it's Big Ten football.
Yes.
And I'm picturing just a drunk like dude, like Farmer Fran looking dude in his overalls, drinking out of his Little Brown Jug, just straight corn whiskey. And the Gophers win, and he just in jubilation tossed something to the field. And then coach is like, "Sweet, good omen," and that's how the trophy came to be. I nailed it, right?
Yes, that's probably what the 1903 looked like in Minneapolis at that moment. But let me give you a little bit more of an overarching American 1903.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So, these are some fun facts on what was going on in the country in 1903. So, first, it was the modern day World Series had just been completed between the Boston Pilgrims, who later became the Boston Red Sox, and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Let's go. Let's go.
Buccos.
Let's go.
In a best of 9 series.
Best of 9. We should. That's a topic for another pod. That'd be interesting to go back to.
Which unfortunately for Mike here, who's a diehard Pirates fan, the Boston did win that series 5-3. And just so you guys, just to give you guys some context, some baseball fans here, the Pirates were led by legendary hitter Honus Wagner.
Damn right they were.
And Boston's, so the Pirates had a great hitting team, and Boston was led by their amazing pitching staff, which just happened to have a guy named Cy Young on the team, which is, for all you non-baseball fans, is what the best pitcher every year is awarded the Cy Young trophy. So little fun fact there for you. Also in 1903, Marie Curie and her husband Pierre received the Nobel Prize for physics and the discovery of radioactivity.
Wow.
And it was indeed the first time that a Nobel Prize had been given to a woman.
Weren't they both killed by radiation poisoning?
I didn't actually go that into.
Let's go with that. That sounds good. That sounds good to me. Died by radiation poisoning.
Please reach out to us if we were getting any of these facts wrong here.
Right. That sounds right. You discover radiation, and yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me.
There actually, believe it or not, there was a lot of things that were going on in 1903. So I just thought for time's sake, I'd cut it down. But the last thing I got here is the first Harley Davidson motorcycle was built in Milwaukee by brothers Walter and Arthur Davidson and their buddy William Harley.
How about that?
How about that?
How about that? You take your Harley, you go see the Little Brown Jug game.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me segue you back to this game here. So the Wolverines, coached by legendary coach Fielding Yost, which, if you're thinking, man, do I know another coach named Yost?
I do.
From Remember the Titans.
Yes.
It is unfortunately not familiar.
Yeah, I would think that would be kind of hard. Yeah, Michigan, Virginia, kind of far away.
And the Michigan coach spells his name Yost, and the Alexandria high school coach spells it Yoast. So I had the same thought as you when I mean,
Fielding Yost. Remember the Titans, absolutely classic football movie.
So the Wolverines, coached by Yost, were the defending champions and had won 29 straight games going into this game.
Going into 1903.
Yep.
But the first matchup, Minnesota won that, and that was 1883.
I believe it was 1890
or 1890 something.
It was 1892.
1892. Wait, but the Gophers won, or the Wolverine, but Minnesota won that one.
Mm-hmm. So it was about 11 years.
Okay. All right. So, but then Michigan started spanking that ass after that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do. So they were the defending champs and had won 29 straight games. And Minnesota's team, led by Dr. Henry Doc Williams, were 7-0, and they had been outscoring their opponents 506-6 that season.
What?
So
506-6 in seven games.
Yes. Now, mind you,
in 1903.
Now, mind you, we can't really talk to. I know, I know there are some teams that were playing dentistry schools and agriculture schools and high school teams, right, and counting those games. So there is a
high school teams.
Yeah, there are some data that shows that some of these college kids or some of these college programs were counting wins against high school teams.
That's well, I mean, they were putting up 72 points a game, so the forward pass wasn't like a thing,
right?
So they were just like steamrolling. Poor Billy comes out of algebra to get steamrolled by the Golden Gophers.
Yes.
Can you imagine
just
being a sophomore in high school, rolling out to the field, and then just this bus of full-grown, like corn-fed men shows up just to pound you into the dirt?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Not fun.
I'll head back to Miss Lippy's class. That's insane.
So we had this matchup featured some, two of the very best teams.
Hold on. And they were playing
in the
dentist
nation
schools too. So I'm just picturing like these poor dentists just coming out there, like in their little lab coats, like just actually playing in the lab coats too, just getting worked on. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, they probably had to like operate on themselves. Like I can only imagine these guys just pounding their teeth in. Holy cow.
Yeah, college football has come a long way since then.
It has. Although, give me that back. Give me some of those just full-grown like specimens, just demolishing dental school kids.
I mean, that's called Alabama versus any other non-conference school. All right, so you had these two really good teams getting ready for this matchup. So Yost, fearing that Minnesota might tamper with their water, he instructed the student manager, Tommy Roberts,
what was happening in 1903
to purchase this jug of water for the game. So
did they think Minnesota, just imagine Minnesota poisoning these little high school kids. They're all wobbly out on the field.
I don't think Yost was as afraid of the school and the team. It was mainly the students, the away. They were going to an away crowd, a ruckus crowd, that they were afraid of some shenanigans.
So this must have happened. This must have been a thing.
Yeah, probably. So he sends Tommy Robert to purchase this jug.
Okay.
How much do you think Tommy paid for this jug?
A nickel.
30 cents.
Oh.
So this original 5-gallon jug, which was being used as Michigan's water jug for the game, was purchased.
Just pass it around on the sidelines.
Yes.
Just take a swig, boys.
Yep. So both teams were scoreless in the first half before Michigan took a 6-0 lead midway through the second half. So with what would happen next is a lot of drama here. So with 2 minutes left in the game, the Gophers scored to tie it up, but the crowd stormed the field, so that forced the refs to stop the game and declare it a tie.
Oh,
so
that's it. Well, I see why Coach Yost was a little bit nervous, because these kids are like, we got a lead, and just stormed the field. Like, that's it. Like, that's it. Like, that's taking your ball and going home.
So this game was not able to finish. There was a tie. And because of the ensuing chaos, Michigan actually left the jug behind. And so after the game on the field, it was actually found by the Minnesota equipment management, Oscar Munson. And when Munson, what he did was he brought it to the Minnesota athletic director, Louis Cook, who inscribed it with the score of the game and added Michigan jug captured by Oscar, October 31st, 1903 as a footnote. And what I thought it was kind of hilarious, and if you go look at the pictures of it, is and by the way, we'll post all these pictures that we talk about on our Instagram page.
Yes.
So he actually inscribed the 6 of Minnesota larger than the 6 of Michigan, just to kind of put it in.
Well, so the lesson learned here is Minnesotans are not to be trusted. Like, I think of people of Minnesota as like pretty close to Canada and like being like, oh, hey, like, pretty nice, friendly. Let's grab some Timmy Hoes and head down and play a little bit of pond hockey, eh? But really, I mean, they're just jerks. They're poisoning water. They're storming onto the field. They are stealing capturing jugs. Like, I'm looking at this thing. So the president or the athletic director put this on like painted the jug like this.
Yes. So the jug was
Holds a
originally a
grudge.
putty color, just kind of like a plain color. And he wrote on there, Michigan, or captured by Oscar, the athletic
Holy
or
cow.
the equipment manager.
Yeah.
So, and then this jug actually hung in Cook's office for 6 years until the next matchup, which was in 1909.
Holy cow.
So if you look at the other picture, you can see it. Well, actually,
what
he's looking at a
smug
picture
man.
That's Oscar.
Just
that's
folks, just picture the smuggest. He's got a middle part slicked back, just smug. He looks like Chris Evans with that big fisherman sweater with a big like shawl collar, and he's just holding this jug, just proud as can be, with the smuggest grin on his face. I just want to punch this guy right in the face. Coming into this rivalry, I was on the side of Minnesota, but I think the tides have turned here. Screw this guy.
And then
screw the Minnesotans.
It was hung in the athletic director Cook's office for 6 years,
right above his head. That's dangerous.
Yeah, that's 20 pounds.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How did he die? Did the jug fall and knock him out and kill him?
I'm not sure.
That would be so. There's also, I want to point something else out in this photo. There's a massive sign for a big gymnastic meet, Wisconsin, Chicago. That's just, apparently people were real fired up. I too love gymnastics. It's the Olympics. I love watching it. It's a fantastic sport. Holy cow.
So let us know when you're looking at this picture, if you can make out what there's a couple more signs and posters that are on his wall in his office. So if you can make out anything, feel free to let us know what you can see. So this kind of leads into, technically 1903 was the first game the jug was introduced, but it wasn't until 1909 when it was introduced as a traveling trophy between the games. So prior to the game in 1909,
bastard just rolled up holding the jug. Oh, I gotta hear. I hope he just. Oh.
So prior to the game, Cook, the athletic director for Minnesota, instructed to Minnesota's All-American captain John McGovern at a pep rally.
Love that name. That's a captain name. That's a big.
That's an All-American.
John McGovern.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm gonna name my firstborn son John McGovern Hill.
So Cook says to him, quote, "You can tell Michigan that Michigan captain that they can have their jug back if they beat us tomorrow," end quote. And that's so then eventually McGovern.
Oh, did he think that Michigan's sitting there stewing for 6 years? Like, where's that damn jug? Those Gophers, they had the sons of, like, is this guy is insane? What a megalomaniac, like narcissistic bastard. Oh my gosh, it's 30 cents. It's a 30-cent jug. I bet they didn't even know it was missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so McGovern lays down the gauntlet
to Michigan's coach Yost and their captain, in which they accept the agreed upon the trophy as a tradition of the jug, and that was where it was born. And ultimately, Michigan did take the jug back that game, and the game was won 15-6.
Oh my gosh, I'm picturing like a Liam Neeson Taken type thing, like I have very particular set of skills.
So
that make me a nightmare.
Yes,
who has my jug.
So then I believe Michigan won the next meeting in 1910, and then the split of the two sides, what it actually the coloring, what it looks like now, didn't really happen until sometime after the 1919 contest.
Yeah,
and then the two columns with the scores were added in the 1920s, and then it received its newest design in the 1930s, which included both of the M's from each school's logo.
Okay.
So pretty much from 1930 on is what the trophy really looked like moving forward.
It's pretty cool. I wish it said like somewhere on the bottom, like, hey, Miss Athletic Director, stick this where the sun don't shine. Oh my gosh. I keep coming back to this picture. What a smug man.
So now the stories get even more interesting. So let me tell you. So the trophy was actually lost.
Oh.
So in September 1931, the
Check
Little
the
Brown
athletic director's house.
We'll get to it.
This guy's such a villain.
So the Little Brown Jug disappeared from the trophy case on Michigan's campus in 1931, September.
God.
So before their matchup that year. And there was no news on it until about a month later when the New York Times reported that the jug had been recovered.
New York Times?
Yeah, this is a big deal. This is 1930s. You know, they're looking for anything outside of the war.
New York figure this? Like, how did they even hear about this story?
I don't know. So it had been recovered, but not only a day after they reported that it had been recovered, did they retract their story. And they later reported that it was a poor imitation that was actually found.
Oh,
so it's still gone. It's still missing. So
and there was a forgery.
Yes, it gets weirder. So in November of that year, so again, right before the matchup that year hadn't happened yet, 4 men disguised in what was called dark goggles pulled up to a service station in Ann Arbor and rolled onto the pavement a freshly painted jug that was scooped up by the gas station attendant. And so Michigan officials quickly declared that this jug was authentic. And despite members of the press expressing their skepticism, they used that jug for that year, which Michigan retained in a 6-0 win over Minnesota that following Saturday. So there was a lot of controversy about this trophy, and allegedly it was returned. So now the following year, right. So now the following year, but no one believes it, just only Michigan officials. So the following year, reporters again pressed the Michigan head coach Yost about the authenticity of the jug, and he assures them it's real.
I like how coaches probably like, oh my gosh, we don't even care. We just didn't want to get poisoned by those psychopaths in Minnesota. Whatever, the jug's real. I can just,
but
so
again,
exasperated. Like, if these
but again, it is shown to be, or the media and the people on the Minnesota side still do not believe it's authentic. And so like I said, few believed it. And Oscar Munson, again, the guy that founded originally, the equipment manager, he did not believe it was real. And he even had a theory behind what he thought. So he said, Munson said at the time, he said, quote, "They've been passing a phony off on us since 1927. And he says his theory was that Michigan's head coach himself is the one that wanted the trophy to himself. So he took it and then had a replica created because he personally wanted it.
The Minnesota athletic director had Coach Yost doesn't give a damn about this trophy. I guarantee he didn't even know it was missing. And like when McGovern said, "We'll give you the jug back," he's like, "Jug? What jug?"
But
like,
remember, this was taken from Michigan's campus, so that'd be kind of a stretch for someone.
I'm just picturing a decrepit old man in a walker, just like absconding, just the smuggest old man, just absconding with this jug.
So then, okay, so that was 1932. So then the real jug eventually did turn up in August of 1933. It was found in a clump of bushes near the medical building on the University of Michigan's campus. Yost then confessed.
The dentist that they beat up. Wait, so Yost did? Oh my God, I have this guy all wrong.
So then Yost confessed that he had lied to the media about the authenticity of the jug that they had been displaying since the original's disappearance. And then the Gophers ended up reclaiming it that year with a 34-0 win in 1934. And they accepted it as real, but no one has ever came forth and admitted to originally stealing it in the first place a few years before.
I got it. Case cracked. This athletic director from Minnesota came to steal it. He was getting past the medical building, but because he's old and decrepit and very smug, he just probably had like an arthritis attack and couldn't bend down to pick it up. Like that's boom, case solved. The way that it's painted, and again, it's from, it depends on your perspective and kind of builds to the rivalry at the time between some really good teams, was yes, that it was actually Michigan. There was never any speculation that it was on the Minnesota side because it was in Michigan. And let's be real here, I don't even know if cars could make it that far at that point in time. So so a lot of them believed it was, it was stolen by Michigan's head coach. Wow.
So All right, so let me fast forward here into some just famous games throughout the years. So in 1940, there was a Battle of the Undefeateds. This game was called or dubbed the Battle of the Giants.
And that was the year that the trophy came back, right? 1940, or was it?
It was before in 1934.
Right. Okay.
So Minnesota won this game, this Battle of the Giants, 7-6, and then went on to go 8-0 and win the national championship.
Damn.
So a lot of these, because this rivalry is so lopsided, a lot of these famous games were when Minnesota actually beat Michigan, because Michigan just has given them the hammering over the years.
Yeah.
So in 1977, Minnesota stunned the number one team, Michigan, by winning 16-0. And it was the only loss of the regular season for the Wolverines, as they advanced to and unfortunately lost in the 1978 Rose Bowl to the Washington Huskies.
Good bet. If you're a Huskies fan, that's not too unfortunate, but
no. Correct. So then in 1986, Minnesota was a heavy underdog, 25-point underdog going into the matchup against the number 2 Wolverines. And with 2 minutes to go and a game tied at 17, Minnesota's quarterback, Ricky Foggy, scrambled to put Chip LaMiller in position to win the game-winning kick.
Great name. Ricky Foggy and Chip
LaMiller. Wait,
was Chip the kicker?
Yes. So he scrambled to get him into position, and Chip
it in, baby.
Chip chipped in the game winner to beat them. And the Gophers took home the Little Brown Jug from Michigan for the first time since 1977.
Wow.
So that was a 9-year gap there. And similarly, I'm sorry, Michigan fans, to bring this up to you guys, that was Michigan's only loss that year, which amounted to them going to the Rose Bowl and unfortunately losing in the Rose Bowl again. So then fast forward 2003. This was one of the highly anticipated matchups in years, because again, Michigan was just primarily dominating the series between them. And this was the 100th anniversary of the 1903 game. So Minnesota was ranked number 17. Michigan was ranked number 20. And this game was played at the old Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the old Vikings used to play. And down 28-7, Michigan put together a comeback in the fourth quarter to win the game 38-35.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Michigan would advance to
the
Rose Bowl, and they would
lose
in the Rose Bowl.
Sons of bitches.
I know. And then the very next season, and the very next season, another highly anticipated matchup. Michigan was number 14 and came back again in the fourth quarter to defeat the number 13 Golden Gophers 27-24. And Michigan advanced to and lost
the Rose Bowl.
In the Rose Bowl.
There's a theme.
Yes.
Just can't get past that. Well, those Pac-12 teams.
So then I'll leave you with this. So for the past, I thought this was a pretty cool thing that I was able to find. So for the past several decades, when the Wolverines do win the Jug, there is actually one local artist, and her name is Jill Gordon, who has the honor of painting the score on the Jug. So Gordon was first involved with the team back when her husband, Larry, was a graduate assistant for Bo Schembechler in the early 1970s. And Larry had just noticed that the team meeting room was kind of bland and suggested to Bo that his wife kind of spruce it up. And so she would make signs and just kind of decorate it a little bit better. Right. And then
pop a flare.
Right.
Yeah.
And that led to her.
Play.
Right. Yeah. And that led to her getting the honor to write the scores for the Jug pretty much from there on out. It said that she moved to California for a few years, but then upon coming back to Ann Arbor, she was instantly given that job again and has been doing it ever since 1974. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I thought that was a pretty cool story. All right, so now that you guys are you're all aware of the history here, why don't we give it our rankings here? So Mike, I'll just explain again. We're going to rank the looks of the trophy, the history, and the rivalry on a scale to 1 to 5. And then just overall, do we think in the Big Ten, compared to other Big Ten trophies, is this a bottom tier, a mid tier, or a top tier to you? So Mike, you go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, All right. So do we want to do each section like looks? Okay. So we'll start with the looks. I mean, it is what it is. It's a little brown jug, right? So it's not like super impressive, but like at the same time, when I think of like college football and I think of trophies, this is the type of stuff I think about. Like, and I think this is cooler than like a big, trophy. Like, this is cooler to me than like what the current national championship trophy looks like. So I think it's dope. I like the 2 M's. Like, it's simple. I'm giving it a 4. I think it's pretty solid. So
okay.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
I'm gonna go with a 3. And again, I think it's very cool that it's not just a trophy, it's an actual unique item. But I do think that it is just kind of a jug.
Yeah, right.
So that's why I think it's a solid 3 in my book. Okay. So what about the history? What do you think of the history?
5. I mean, we got this rivalry. I mean, the history is just the New York Times getting involved in the caper of the missing jug. Like the fact they brought, because they thought they were gonna get poisoned, and the smuggest athletic director of all time. You guys got to check out our Instagram and check out this photo, because this guy's a real bastard. But yeah, it's a 5. I love this story.
I also gave it high. I give it a 4. I think it's a very cool, funny way to start a rivalry with an unintentional trophy that turned into an agreed upon thing that then even had drama with the whole stealing and disappearance of it in the 30s.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the rivalry is itself.
I mean, like, historically, if we were in the 1930s, I'd say a 5, but like, it's really in the past couple of years, it's like in recent history, it's not been that. Like, Michigan owns this thing. So I think that, like, if the Gophers continue to take a step forward and Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines stay like stagnant like they are, then I think that it's going to get more interesting as the games go on. But just like overall, I'm going to say like a 2.
That's what I have as a 2.
Yeah.
Because as good as it was at the beginning, unfortunately, it for the most part, it's just not. It's very one-sided, and I think because of that, it's there isn't too much of a fire between 2 teams. And honestly, you have Minnesota's their primary rivals are Iowa and Wisconsin, and Michigan's is the Spartans and the Buckeyes. So I think it's just a little bit lower on that scale. So overall, I put it in a mid-tier.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one of the worst in the Big Ten, and I definitely don't think it's one of the best.
Honestly, for the tier, see, that's hard because I really like the history. I do like the look of it a bit more, just because I think that's like, I like trophies. They're a little more weird. But just, it's not a good game right now. And I do think that like it over the next couple of years with, like I said, if PJ Fleck and Jim Harbaugh's programs do what they're going to do, then I think it'll be more interesting. But yeah, right now, I think it's just a mid-tier rivalry. I love the history of it, but like that aside, it's just not, it just doesn't live up to what I think some of the other rivalry. Like, I'm not going to be as excited to watch Michigan, Minnesota as I will to see like Michigan, Ohio State, for example.
So which tier do you put it in?
Mid. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's gonna wrap up episode 1 here for us. Next week's episode, we're going to talk about a trophy that I frankly think is a bit underrated, and that is the Old Oaken Bucket. Ooh. It is it's a very exciting.
I think I'm going to like it. I like jugs, bucket. That sounds good too. That's because of poison. I'm guessing it has to do with poison.
I guess you're just going to have to come back and you're going to have to come back and see. So that'll do it for this week. Check out our Instagram at whiskers.whiskies. And for Mike, I'm EJ. Bottoms up.
Cheers, boys.